government.
Meanwhile, of course, as we know, Labour did scoop most of those seats, bar one. But what a result
No,
for Labour.
I mean, how does Labour do it, right? Betray Māori 10 years ago, do absolutely nothing for years, and they're the benefactors of, one, the division, and two, the Kim.com factor. But here's a warning for Labour. Promote Davis and Pene Henare, or they'll go the same way as Tamahere and Jones. They treated Kelvin Davis disrespectfully. They gave him no resources. They gave him no support. Outstanding candidate. They did that in 2011. Now you've got a couple of gun candidates. Look after them, or you'll lose them too.
Let's talk about the result overall. Worst since 1925. Can David Cunliffe survive?
I don't think so. I think he's gone in February.
And your pick, Dion?
I'd probably agree with Tina. One thing that is interesting, though, is that because, and Tina and I were talking about this before, with Labour regrouping, grabbing 6 of the Māori seats, therefore Māori take a greater proportion of those members that are in there, which gives them the opportunity, if they can step up to it, to take a greater role in reshaping the future of Labour, which is more embracing of Māori than it has been.
Do you think if those particular MPs are promoted, it will be better for Labour overall?
Yeah, I mean, I was heartened by seeing the 6 of them here this morning. And I think that absolutely does strengthen the voice of Māori within Labour.
But they're going to have to hit the ground running. They're not going
I just don't want to see them dissolve.
How do you hit the ground running with David Cunliffe there? Is that the right leader at this point to hit the ground running?
Prior to the election, there were some concerning signals, for me anyway, when David Cunliffe came out and said, I'm not going to do a deal with the Māori Party. He came out and said, so for Māori voters, I was surprised by this, he came out and said, we're just not going to do a deal with Māori. And it was clear that he didn't consult with anybody on that. He didn't consult with his Māori caucus.
Yes. He consulted with Matt McCartan. And
he just came out and said, we're not going to do it. So,
his focus was on getting those Māori seats. He wanted his Labour candidates.
No, look, his Māori candidates got the seats by default. Yeah. They certainly didn't get them because of David Cunliffe's strategy. Yeah. He said, bugger off Maoris to the Māori Party, to the Mana Party, gave no support to Kelvin Davis, did absolutely nothing for us, and now people go and give their votes back to the Labour Party. Yeah. Unbelievable, and they're going to sit in opposition for the next 3 years. Real test in the next 3 years for Te Ururu Flavel. Yeah. He's going to be the Minister of Māori Affairs. He's got 2 jobs.
Think he will? Do you think
he'll be the Minister.
Yeah.
He'll be the Minister, and then the second part of it is, will he be able to build a movement? Because if he doesn't build a movement, he's gone in 2017.
He'll be helped if Marama Fox is made female co-leader.
Yeah, but Marama Fox, female co-leader, Rawiri Waititi came second in that seat. Yeah. He'll take that seat in 2017 if Te Ururu doesn't build a movement and work with people rather than...
Do you think he can win seats back from Labour now?
Yes, yeah, I do. I do, if he gets a strategy in place to unite the Māori vote. You just have to count the votes.
The person going in with... the person that goes into Parliament, so Marama going in, is going to be critical. So
she's a talent.
Her ability to go in there and stand strong next to Te Ururu is going to be critical. And Willie's right, they're going to need to refresh their pool of talent for the next election. So they'll be, because it's a long game for them as well.
Okay, so let's talk about national. Best result for a third-term government despite everything. I mean, what does it prove, Tina?
It proves that Nikki Haga should not put out books before an election. People like .com need to go away because what that did, we thought it would activate the left. I'm sure that's what Willie thought. It didn't. It made all Pākehā people get out there and vote for John Key, and that's what happened.
Although it did for a while, and if you go back a month ago, John Armstrong, Audrey Young were all picking internet mana to get 5%. It was the worst political campaign I've ever seen. Don't tell me that the idea wasn't good, because everybody thought it was great, but you can't help it if a campaign falls apart over 4 weeks, and they had problem after problem after problem, didn't they?
Dion, how do you explain the success of National, the resounding success of National last night?
I actually can't. I mean, they dealt with so much, and maybe it was that. Maybe it was voter fatigue with the news, with all of that negativity. And I mean, you got to give Key credit. I mean, he dealt with the election campaign from hell, with everything that was going on, and he stood up to that and he handled it, and maybe that got people's respect.
And the narrative around, we don't know what we're facing with all these left-wing parties. I think that hit home too.
Well, the last week was terrible. That moment of truth was almost the icing on the
was
cake, wasn't it?
Well,
and it just turned it around.
It didn't go anywhere. It was all show
Tina's point's a
and
good
not
one,
enough.
yeah.
Stuff.
Anyway, all our aroha goes out to Hone. We're looking for a new reporter, aren't we, on Marae? In Kaitaia.
We'll just
to replace Ngahuia.
see about it. All right, thank you, or Willie Jackson. Tina Whitcliffe and Dion Tuta.
Kia ora.